gentlemen, welcome in on a beautiful Thursday. Well, actually, in the great Mitten State, it's not so beautiful. It's been rainy and gross, but nonetheless, it's a beautiful Thursday. We're about to kick off another week of jam-packed football, and I'm excited to recap what's happened in the last week and look forward to the weekend of football ahead. Brad, how are you doing?
Great. You want to hear a fun story about the Mets? Mets are playing. We haven't talked about the Mets in a while. We're not going to talk about the Mets today.
Well, football's been the dominating conversation, so let's hear about it.
They are losing right now. And what's new?
Okay.
They're losing. It's the third inning, and it's 9-1. Now it's so funny though too, because I'm just tanked this season. I love that the media is spinning this off the Mets are mathematically still eligible to make the play. I'm like, dude, it's over. Get over it. The garbage.
Yes, the Lions are mathematically eligible for the playoffs right now as well, but I don't need a fucking I need two brain cells to rub together.
So remember how we talked about how Kumar Rocker wasn't signed, and it was the dumbest thing ever. Well, I just found out this. If they don't, I'm trying to figure this out. So if no matter what, they get the 11th pick in the first round as a compensation for not signing Rocker. In the first round, they get the 11th pick. Okay. Now if they if their actual draft pick next year is in the first, is ahead of 11, then they get to keep both picks where they are. If it's behind, they lose that pick. And I don't understand why this works, but I think the concept though is that you still get the same amount of picks per year. It's just they're moving you up in the draft. So if they were to finish better than 11, then the pick that they would get would be they would lose the later one and just get the second round pick. Whereas if they finished so bad that, say, they got the 5th pick, they would get the 5th pick, then the 11th pick, and then they would lose their second round pick, is the way that I understand it, which doesn't make any sense. But
baseball draft,
it doesn't make any sense to me.
System is fucking weird. This is one thing I do love about the NFL.
So
their draft system is no lottery.
It's the
worst
only
team
one
gets
that
the
really
best
makes
pick
sense
in that order. Yeah, which is shocking.
Because the NFL,
the NHL has the lottery, NBA has the lottery, MLB does do worst record
so
gets
confusing.
best pick, but then they have all the compensatory picks, and there's 100 rounds and shit.
Well, so many players. I think that's the issue.
I would never
it's
ever
a smaller
want to be
pool. It's a smaller
champ.
pool of people in the NFL, but still, and hockey's the same way. Hockey's more in development and stuff like that. If you have a pick that's later than 4, then that sucks.
And hockey is hockey and baseball, but hockey especially is very international. But by the way, why the Mets are losing, right? They're going against Boston in the fucking yellow uniforms.
Yeah, those uniforms are pretty sick.
They can't lose in those things. It is kind of funny though, because some of the guys have red cleats, and
it's so funny too, because you gotta do for the uniform, right? Some of the Mets players have different shoes that they'll wear.
At least get white, right? At least get white.
Well, it especially helps since the MLB has relaxed a
lot
lot of their uniform policies. So it used to be that you had to wear specific color cleats. Now you can wear white. You can wear as long as it doesn't totally offset the look of your uniform. You can. They've really relaxed the rules, which is kind of nice.
Do you remember when the NFL had all those fucking rules cleats? They were fining players for wearing cleats.
Don't they fine you if you show any skin or something like that? If you show skin.
No, they do have uniform enforcers on each sideline though. So if your uniform fucks up, they come and tell you, hey, fucking tuck your shit in or whatever. If if fucking Zeke tries to do his crop top, yeah, that doesn't fly. But they used to fine players I don't remember who was the one that kind of caused this change to happen, but they used to, if players wore cleats for charitable charitable causes, they were fining those players for wearing them, and the NFL just looked like dicks for like
so
doing
dumb.
that.
I mean, it's the
it
same.
was like, I'm trying to help underprivileged youth in my community, and you're fining me $10,000 for it instead of just letting me donate that $10,000.
Like Pete Alonso was talking about this with the MLB, where they like you can't have like painted bats in the MLB. I don't know the reasoning. I think it has something to do with like cheating.
Unless it's for breast
Well,
cancer.
well, exactly, right? Like, but like Pete Alonso had all those cool bats for the home run derby, and he was like hoping that he could like do something like that in the future. Because I think it's cool, right? Like there's actually a bat in MLB The Show, that's like a comic strip or something like that. Like that bat would be illegal in today's MLB.
Oh
right,
yeah,
exactly.
All of those would, but yeah, I think rule of cool, man. If it's cool, let them do it. It doesn't, as long as it doesn't affect the game, which like I could see maybe a bat skin could potentially throw a pitcher
batters
off.
Where
like,
they have
it's
pine tar on their
egregious. Like,
bats.
let it
Like
go.
nobody gives a shit. Like that's for grip, obviously, but like
Yeah, exactly.
you know.
Yeah, but like
Right.
let it be cool. Anyway, Brad, let's talk about college
do that.
football.
I would love to do that.
And you're a big thing. You Sparty. You fucking Michigan State slappy. You're just full blown, man. Just like you're all in on MSU. You moved to East Lansing.
It's so fun. I love it.
You fell in love
Oh
with
my
Go
goodness.
Green, Go White. Yeah, and you look like the biggest bandwagon though.
So
because they're kind of showing. Signs
it's so
of being
funny
good.
too because
Although you were on the
I
Mel
was
Tucker
not
train
expecting anything from this season at all. Like nothing at all.
Most Michigan State fans weren't.
And so
at least
so like
realistic
I mean,
ones.
for those who don't know, I write for fansided.com, and like a lot of the stuff I do is mostly for the Mets. I run a column every Friday on like their farm system and stuff like that, but I started actually like just now writing about the Spartans for them, and like that wasn't because they're good now. Like it was before the season started, which I think is great, right? It's just like so funny though that they started like being good again. And what's funny though too is that people don't really talk about this, but MSU never had like bad programs in like my lifetime at least. Like I was always, as a kid, I was kind of raised with like Michigan people because like my dad was like bandwagon Michigan fan, despite like nobody in our family going. And no.
Do you know why my dad was?
Why?
Why my dad's a Michigan fan? Because he grew up in Windsor and he did not get the MSU broadcast.
Really?
It's the same reason why he's a Red Wings fan instead of a Toronto Maple Leafs fan, is because being in Windsor, he got the local
your dad's
sports
from Windsor?
broadcast was the Detroit
I
teams.
didn't know that.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
born and raised.
Cool.
Yep, I am half Canadian, baby.
So amazing.
AA.
Okay, but is Windsor really Canada? Is it really Canada?
No, it's South Detroit. That stupid
Right?
fucking Journey song.
That song is so dumb.
Born and raised in South Detroit. No, there's
It's
South
not a
Detroit
thing.
is
Not
Canada.
a thing. You know what?
It is South Detroit is Windsor. You go to Caesars.
God, that's so funny. So back to MSU. Okay, now did you watch the Miami game?
I started
You watched
watching in
more
the
than
second
I
half,
watched.
and
I was at work. So
you were. I was texting you, and I was just like, because I tuned in right when like the almost targeting call happened, and then that didn't happen. But it was when Miami scored a touchdown, I think, to get the game within either 3 or 7, and I was like, oh no, come on, Michigan State, don't do this. I was like, even though I'm not a Sparty fan, I root for Michigan State most of the time. It's good for the conference, and again, my whole thing is I want Michigan to beat Michigan State, and if Michigan State is undefeated when that happens, it gives credit to my program. And I think Sparty should do the same thing.
that's how I feel.
Because again, if you beat an undefeated Michigan, it looks good on you.
I mean, I don't think that
Again,
rooting
when we're
against
going
a team is good for anyone. I also like the only team that I really feel like negative towards is Ohio State. The only reason that I like root for one of the, you know what I mean? Like I root for one of the other, like Michigan and Michigan State, but it's not like
I feel negative towards Penn State, but that's only
Joe Paterno
because of the Joe Pa situation with Sandusky and how the school, like especially a lot of the student body at that time, tried to be like, no, don't take down the statue and shit. Like, it was just
okay. But is that not what
that's
drove
personal.
me away from the University of Michigan? I mean, it's fair. Yeah,
It's
probably
fair.
harder.
No, my thing is, I will say tear down. I will say Michigan should have received some national punishment, in my opinion. Be banned from bowl games or whatever. But they won't because they're Michigan and they're untouchable. And I would have, obviously, tear down fucking Schembechler's statue. Take his name off every building. Like, that's the difference. Is I was mad at the Penn State student body for trying to keep all that shit.
Right now,
like,
really the only people that
you don't put up statues of models. You don't put up statues of like monsters.
Right, there's no
why
fucking
we don't
Hitler
put up
statue.
Statues. Yeah, like it's not history.
Right.
It's just like the shit that he did, and like this is like different than like the Trevor Bauer situation or anything like that. Like the Schembechler thing with Dr. Anderson, and we're talking about literally 1,000 people. Like, you can't say that this is a conspiracy when it's 1,000. It's up there with the Nasser thing, and when Nasser got Michigan State, the university, received rightfully a lot of flack for that, and it's annoying that Michigan did not receive flack for that, especially because this one is so directly tied to the football program, like the Sandusky thing was. But I'm getting way too off base with this. Back to Michigan State, they looked great. They went down in Miami, in the Miami Heat, where teams who aren't playing in that climate all the time, they get gassed, right? Like, that conditioning can fail you if you're not ready because that heat will wear you down. And, man, Miami looked like the ones that were worn down at the end of it. Does that make sense? Like Miami looked gassed and Michigan State looked good.
It's one of the few times that you could really
Miami got that
tell
touchdown
from the box score alone. Like, there were like 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. Like I remember like last year, I think it was, when the Lions started doing like the dagger time slogan because people were saying they couldn't finish games, which was hilarious because that was Patricia's last year and they lost a lot. Dagger time, it was used against them, but that's what dagger time was supposed to be. Michigan State, they got the go-ahead touchdown. They marched down the field to get, I think it put them back to either 7 or a 10-point lead, and then they got a turnover. They marched down. They got another touchdown. They just kept digging the dagger deeper. They stepped on the neck. They crushed their throat and won the game. They did not let off the gas, and that is something I really liked because you don't let teams hang around. And Miami showed that they had the chance to come back. They got within less than a touchdown, and it was turning into a close game. But Michigan State ran away with it because I think they had the better coach. Now, I'm not going to say Miami is world beaters. They were way too highly ranked at the beginning of the season, and I honestly don't think their coach survives the year. I think he's done after this year. But they went on the road as, I think, 6.5-point underdogs. Maybe I'm off by a little bit, but somewhere around there. On the road against a ranked team, which again probably shouldn't be a ranked team, but they are ranked at that time. So it's a technicality, but it doesn't change the fact that they were not favored to win this game, and they won it convincingly. And now we're at a point where, when we talk about Michigan State, we're on to Nebraska, but I think we can realistically talk about this team being 7-0 going into Halloween weekend when they go up against their interstate rivals in Michigan. And I think Michigan has the capacity to do the same, and I would absolutely love that. 2 7-0 teams. This is a big game for deciding winner of this conference because one team would be 8-0. One team is very close to winning the Big Ten East. With a 1-loss Ohio State, whoever wins that game, all they have to do is beat Penn State, and they probably can win the Big Ten East. So Michigan's big, their big challenge to get to being 7-0 going into the Michigan State game is going to be Wisconsin. I think Michigan should beat Wisconsin if they're as good as they say they are. If they can run the ball the way they do, they can. I'm worried about their passing attack. I really don't think we know what Michigan is, and really we don't entirely know what Michigan State is, but we kind of know their strengths and we know their weaknesses. Michigan State's got some, I would say, some pretty big weaknesses at corner. It hasn't burned them yet, but it could in the future. But their pass game has proven to be pretty efficient. Their running back, Kenneth Walker is on the Heisman watch, rightfully so. Who I don't know how the fuck Wake Forest let him go.
There was I was watching something, and I can't remember what it was. I can't remember if it was the one of the games, whatever it was, but one of the reporters was talking about how they were talking to Kenneth Walker and the reason he transferred, and they were saying that how he didn't think that Wake Forest was using him in their system as effectively as they could have. So he fucking switched up. And when he met with Mel Tucker, Mel Tucker had the right idea to use him. And I thought that was very interesting on just a different basis, because think about how many good players there are that aren't being utilized,
Right.
But that's basically the reason. It wasn't, I don't know, I don't think it was because he wasn't getting enough playing time or wouldn't eventually. They just did not feel like they cared enough about his needs.
Yeah, I think so too. It's and that's kind of so far the genius of Mel Tucker is he's utilizing these guys. He's putting them in places. So, I don't think that team is necessarily, they're not the most talented team in the Big Ten. They're probably the third, maybe fourth most talented team in the Big Ten East. But, it's scheme over team, right?
I
talent
also
only
think
gets you
that
so
the
far.
mindset is helping them
Look
a lot.
at Ohio State.
The mindset is helping them a lot, in the sense that, they're not...
Tucker's ruthless, man, and that's very good.
It's not, it's more team kind of stuff, and I think especially going to MSU, where you saw a lot of losses in this team's history, especially in the last 10 years, where you've seen losses because almost you saw this game, Mel Tucker was aggressive. You had in the D'Antonio era, you saw kind of this almost this conservative approach a lot of the time, where you try to run out the clock and just barely squeak by. And Mel Tucker's fuck that.
Jet sweeps, baby.
Right.
Jet sweeps.
Right.
Yeah. No. And his schemes they're good. He's coached this team up so well that I'm blown away. And like I said, I think at this point Michigan State, Miami was their roadblock or their hurdle to get to the Michigan State game undefeated. And I hope Michigan doesn't fuck it up. My thing with Michigan is I have no idea what this team is. They can run the ball really good. Their offensive line is very good. They have some very good running backs. We know that. But, I don't know what Cade McNamara can do. Can he throw the ball if he needs to? Can he throw for 300 yards in high-pressure situations when you're down with very little time left?
No, Michigan hasn't really been tested yet.
I know he threw for 250 yards, but that was against Northern Illinois, so I don't care. They threw for 44 yards against Washington. That just doesn't work. It worked in that game, yes, but you're not going to have that same success against Ohio State or Penn State. But Michigan, that doesn't mean Michigan's bad. It just means we don't know. We haven't seen it. And maybe Harbaugh is saving that shit because sometimes coaches want to save that stuff so other teams don't get it on tape. Sure, but I don't know. We're just going to have to see. But I do think for both schools, it's an exciting year because I think both schools are going to play a lot better than I think they expected. I think Michigan will end up going 9-3, and I think MSU is going to go 10-2. I still think MSU wins against Michigan State, or against Michigan. But again, that's because I can't gauge this Michigan team.
You know what
they
game
are
might be a little scary for Michigan? This is going to sound so bad. Rutgers. Like,
you know, Brad, I'm going to have you hold your horses because I'm going to talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah, because you're going to go into that. Yeah.
I am going to talk about that. And I know you're not stealing my thunder, but let's not double dip. Let's leave something.
Yeah, I think I don't know what Michigan. You don't know what Michigan is because they haven't been challenged yet. I think that would be my only concern. Like as a Michigan fan, like that you don't know what Michigan is. With Michigan State, you kind of have more of a little bit of a gauge because like both teams were so awful last season that you just didn't know what to expect from this year. I think that has to do with like the COVID, stuff. It just has to do with just everything in general about where we're at with both teams. They were just so unbelievably bad that like both just programs want to erase that from their memory. And so now you come into a year where you don't know what to expect. And I think that both teams probably will be 7-0, but it will be the most meaningful game that Michigan and Michigan State have played since 2015 when Michigan lost on that punt. We're going to talk about the punt. But I mean, you see that though, right?
I'll never forget that night.
You see that we're like, because that game, Michigan State was number 7, Michigan was number 12, and it literally ended as time expired. Like I think it's going to be a big game.
On the last play of the game, I can hear that announcer. There's trouble with the snap. His ball is so free.
Bad. The way they covered that on ESPN.
I forget the fucking I forget the name of the guy who picked up the ball, but he says the player's name. He's like, he's running down the side and into the end zone. That's the last play of the game. I can hear it and I hate it. I hate it so much. But God, fucking why was he not max protecting that punter? Michigan State had everyone.
So I wanted to talk about one more thing. Yeah, go ahead.
Quick though. I was going to say that I mentioned this a little bit earlier. Was Michigan State almost had that targeting penalty when Miami scored the touchdown? It was overturned, rightfully so. It was a shoulder-to-shoulder hit, but in the kind of the bang-bang nature of the play, it looked like heads might have collided, and that the Miami player was in the air and the Michigan State player was kind of like jumping up at him, but it wasn't as bad as it looked in real time. You slow it down and you realize there was no helmet-to-helmet contact. He did not lead with the head and did not hit him in the head or neck area, didn't lead with the crown of his helmet. It did not hit any of the targeting criteria. And they rightfully overturned it. However, we have seen some very questionable targeting penalties in the
first off, this season. I have 2 problems with this penalty, okay? And there's 2 ways to fix it, in my eyes, okay? Well, there's not 2 ways to fix it. There's one way. You just do 2 things. Now, the first thing you got to do is establish intent in the rules. I don't think that's there. That's it's so subjective, the call is. So, I think that we should give, I think that at this point, refs are just calling it because they're calling it, right? I think that they feel like that pressure to call it, obviously.
Absolutely.
So I think that if you let, I don't want to say let the ref, you have to have intent, right? You can tell when a collision happens because someone is running into them.
You can still penalize. Yeah, you can still penalize incidental contact, but I don't think that should mean an ejection. You can say maybe not targeting, but just say call it unnecessary roughness, right? 15-yard penalty, automatic first down, and but I think targeting. I agree with you. It has to have intent. in terms of like, if you're running at a guy, you lower your helmet. Like
there are definitely clear-cut ways.
It's a fine line. And I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to keep players safe, and I'm all about that. But it is a very fine line to walk because you need to make sure you're also not impacting the game. Like, all it takes is one star defensive back to be out in like the fucking college football playoff. And then this becomes the pass interference rule from the Rams Saints game from a few years back in the NFC Championship game.
Well, one thing you have to do is I think you have to treat it almost like soccer does, right? Where like in soccer you get a yellow card for a warning, right? I think that's the best way to do this, right? Where there's grades of not necessarily like one rule fits all kind of approach. Like if something is a little bit more subjective than something else, then like maybe you warn them, give them a 15-yard penalty, even a loss of downs. I don't care. But then if something's more egregious, then eject them. And then if something is really that egregious, eject them anyway. Like it's there's grades, there's a scale to this. Not every targeting call is the same. And so I think if you acknowledge that and then like fix it based on like again like a scaled approach, like if it's a less egregious call, you give him a warning, 15 yards, loss of downs, whatever the penalty measure is, does it again, he's ejected. And then if you can really tell like the intent to hit was there, like eject him, because some calls are that bad. But I don't think that all of them are, and not even half of them are that bad. They're just like a lot of them are just accidental runs in with like the helmet thing. I mean, you see the same thing with the kicker where the sometimes the dude runs into the guy's foot. Like there's just a lot of forward motion there, and they even have a penalty to protect that call from people who like if you make contact with the ball on a kick and if you make contact with the ball on a kick that hits the foot, then it's not a penalty. But if you don't or something, I don't know how the rule works, but that's there. So that should be also transfer over into targeting penalties. I don't know if that made any sense, but it was a lot of gibberish. I'm sorry.
Word soup, but I follow you.
But like
you're good. No, but I understand I know what you're trying to say.
It should be scaled.
You're so in so many words.
It's God. I've been up since 7 a.m. It's terrible.
I understand it, my friend. I do.
So I wanted to move onto one
NFL?
Big hot take. Okay, this is my hottest take I think of the year. I want to preface this by saying I do not like Texas A&M. I think they're one of the most fake ass schools, football programs in the country. I think I put them right up with Michigan and Texas. They don't do shit every year. Texas A&M.
Which team is this?
Texas A&M on October 9th will defeat Alabama. That's my hot bold prediction. Okay? Texas A&M will beat Alabama on October 9th, okay? Now, Alabama has like 2 home games until then. That's in 3 weeks. Well, I think it's in 3 weeks. And Texas A&M will win, and Georgia will win the SEC. Alabama will go to the SEC title game, and Georgia will win. I think those are two games that Alabama loses. Straight off the gat.
That's a fun take.
So if I'm right, I swear to God.
Can I? Okay. Well, again, Texas A&M is a team I'm going to talk about in our pick 3. So I will give you my thoughts on that.
I'm not saying that Texas A&M is good, and honestly, they play Arkansas. I'm not going to lie. They probably lose that game. But I do not think that they lose against Alabama. Listen.
How? What is the reason? Is it just because you think they'll shoot them out?
I don't know. It'll be fine. Well,
all right. Just a gut feeling. All right.
God said it.
So anyway, I want to talk about the NFL. I want to talk about power rankings. Just want to highlight a few of these here. New York Jets, dead last. I think that's fair because that team has so much wrong.
God, did you watch the TikTok I sent you? The one, the fucking 12-year-old that's analyzing the fucking Jets defense or offense. I mean, God.
Yeah, that kid had good analysis though. No, straight up,
So
that kid had good analysis. Don't hate
funny.
On that that is a prodigy. That's the new fucking.
I really
Mel
hope
Kiper
I edit
right
it into this this podcast. I have to. It's so funny. Oh my God.
It is very good. Detroit Lions. I want to talk about them real quick. They're at number 30 in the power ranking. Guys, I saw the collective Honolulu Blue Lions, one pride, losing their collective shit on Monday night. Because we lost to Green Bay. Guys, we had no fucking right. It was a miracle we were up at halftime.
Wait, they were up at halftime?
I think actually a very good sign.
What
they were winning 17-14 at halftime. And it fell apart because Aaron Rodgers and our defense is awful. Guys, I'll be real with you, right? And the only reason it was still that low is because the Lions dominated time of possession. Green Bay had 3 possessions in the first half, and they scored touchdowns on 2 of them, and we forced a 3-and-out on 1 of them. That was the only 3-and-out until the Packers had scored 35 points, at which point they didn't care anymore.
I mean, it's the same reason that
but my point with the Lions
game is 60 minutes, not 30. You know what I mean?
Yes. But so people were freaking out, and they're freaking out about Dan Campbell, saying some people are already fucking calling for his head because at the end of the first half, he let too much time off the clock. They had 3 timeouts with under 2 minutes left to go down the field and get some points for half, which would, again, it was 14-14 at that point. And what happened is they went down the field, they got a decent chunk play, and they let 30 seconds come off the clock. And when asked about it, the whole reason they did it is because you're going against Aaron Rodgers. You want to go into you're in Lambeau, you're fucking double-digit underdogs. You want to go into the fucking locker room at halftime with the lead, and you don't want to give him any time to do so. So they played conservative. Campbell said as much in his post-game press conference. Jared Goff mentioned as much when he was interviewed the next day on 97 Won the Ticket here in Detroit. They literally were just like, we didn't want to give Aaron Rodgers the ball, which is fine. When you're this bad, you hold on to the leads where you can get them. So I wasn't worried about his clock management because his team is bad. It's fine. He did not want to give them the ball back at the end of the second half. Now, once we got to the second half, we're up 17-13. Green Bay got the ball first. That was another thing why you don't want to give them the ball back, because at least you have a 3-point lead if they score right away, right? Yeah, exactly. So even more reason to not give them time, which is why they weren't being so quick with their timeouts. So I don't care about that. But guys, this defense is god awful. I mean, we've lost Jeff Okudah for the year. Ilan I always forget fuck up his name. Ifanwe.
This is not an NFL defense. Put that out there.
No, but Ifanwe is a rookie. He was a rookie cornerback. He was, I think, our 3rd-round pick. So a guy you would like to see turn into a starter potentially, right? He got hurt. He pulled a hamstring. He's on IR. So Lions, you're really thin at cornerback. Your safeties are whatever. But you have to play 2 high safeties anyway to prevent any big bomb touchdowns. And your linebackers are god-awful. I mean, the Lions today, Jamie Collins is dog shit. They're literally trying to trade him. He did not practice today for the Lions because they are trying to trade him and don't want him to get hurt. Alex Anzalone, I think is how you say his name, from the Saints, dog shit. Okay. Get Derek Barnes out there, which it sounds like they're going to. Rookie. He was like the 7th-round pick, 6th-round pick. But he looks kind of good. He looks athletic. He's an athletic freak. He just needs to get some of the tangibles down. But, guys, this team isn't good. The Lions are, I'm not going to steal this, but it was really good from Mike Valeni, who is the local sports guy, 97.1 here in Detroit, said the Lions are 11 starters away on defense. There is no one on this defense that will be a starter when the time comes. Now, I do think like Aleem McNeil and Levi Owunzarike, who is our second round pick, those guys could probably be starters, but I don't even think they're technically starters right now. But they could be part of the equation. Those are Brad Holmes draft picks. They better be part of the equation, because if they're not, that means that means Brad Holmes isn't doing his job. But I saw people like they were calling for Campbell's head. It's like, I don't think people realize, even in Detroit sometimes, how awful the Quinn Tricia regimen depleted this roster. I mean, they got rid of guys like Darius Slay and Quandre Diggs because of ego. They didn't draft certain guys because of ego, and they did draft certain guys because of their egos, because they were the smartest guys in the room. So I don't care what happens this year with Dan Campbell. Don't do anything extremely stupid, and you're fine. That's all I want, because I'm giving them a grace period this year, because no one could win with this team. Not a single person. There's no talent. So I'm giving them I'm giving them time. You have to be patient. It's a rebuild. I see a lot of people, oh, well, I've been a Lions fan for this long, and I've been patient for so long. Why can't we turn it around this quickly? Because of Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn. Other teams that have turned it around did not have their whole teams destroyed from within by such an incompetent regime. I'm trying to think of like the best example. Like when the 49ers lost, they had a team. It was injuries or some bad draft picks, but they're able to turn it around quickly because the entire team was not literally destroyed. The only thing the Lions have going for them, they have two great running backs. I love Jamal Williams and I love DeAndre Swift. Jamal Williams is my spirit animal, my anime waifu. He is great. I would die for him. I say anime waifu because he is a big anime fan, which I love about him. And we have a fantastic offensive line. Penei Sewell is going to be a Hall of Fame left tackle. I'm calling that super early. But, man, he looks great after 2 games. Just a stud. And Frank Ragnow is the best center in football. So, yeah, there's things to look forward to. But, guys, we got to calm down with the Lions. That was my rant about the Lions.
No, and I mean it's fully warranted though, too. Like I don't know, like it's hard to establish any sort of thought on this team. Like I'm going on a podcast about the Browns when the Lions play them, and like I don't know what I'm going to talk about. It is the worst timing because like I'm not watching a single game. I mean, I know that sounds bad, but I'm not. Like I don't know what the point is. Like the only things on this team I'm excited for, Lions offensive line. Offensive line is insane. Okay.
And I like Swift.
DeAndre Swift is god. I love him.
I like Williams.
Penei Sewell, fucking clutch. Love him. But like the rest of this team is a gutter.
And TJ Hawkinson. Hawkinson is so far this season.
You have to close your eyes when the defense comes on the field. This team is 11 starters away from a good defense.
Like this team is like, it's funny because offensively they are 1 QB and 2 wide receivers away from being a top 5 offense. That is how good that offensive line is. That's how good your tight end is. Like I remember saying when Hawkinson got drafted, because they took a tight end and I was like, he has to be George Kittle, and he is now. Yeah, as good as George Kittle well, that might sound kind of hot takey, but like he produces, like he's in top 3 in most categories compared to other tight ends. I think he's only behind Waller and Kelsey. I think he's ahead of Kittle in most of those things. So as much as I didn't like the pick at the time, I do love him now.
And it's so weird to see like fans. Because
Hawkinson's a stud.
It's so weird to see fans like talk about this team like as if they are anything.
That if they're going to be any good. Yeah, it's crazy to me. And like
this season does not matter.
I get it. Lions fans are short for fanatic, which means you're fucking crazy.
There's so many other NFL games on. Turn one of those on. How did the Lions make Monday Night Football? How did that happen? Let's talk about that. I don't even understand it at all.
I don't know.
That's a bad
was kind of
scheduling move.
interesting.
Whoever did that, they gotta be trolling
agree with you
ESPN or something. That was so bad.
I don't know. But anyway, I want to move through the rest of these this power ranking real quick. Washington football team at 22 and the Philadelphia Eagles at 21. I can't say I agree with that. I think the Washington football team is better than the Eagles. I love me some Taylor Heineke. I just hope he turns into a fucking Hall of Famer somehow. I love that dude. And funnily enough, I would put both of those teams ahead of the Miami Dolphins, who are at 20. They dropped from 15 to 20, and Tua's out long term with rib injuries. You're not going to do that well. The Los Angeles Chargers dropped from 14 to 18. Again, not a fan of that. I get it because they lost, but man, they got some really bad penalty calls to go their way and go against them, I should say. But man, their team's good. Their team is really, really fucking good. And I think they're gonna be fine. I think they make the wild card. Saints looked awful. they did not like the team for. But I want to talk about put my dick and balls on the fucking table. Bold prediction of the year so far, and it's only 2 weeks, but so far is turning out to be a chef's kiss. What a great prediction. The Carolina Panthers are 15th on the power ranking. They are 2-0. Granted, they went against a terrible Jets team in week 1. Nothing crazy to fucking get your cock out for. But they just demolished the New Orleans Saints, who the week before had demolished the Green Bay Packers. Now, how good these teams end up being we'll see. But no, I don't think many people had the Panthers winning that game, especially not as dominantly as they had. Sam Darnold looks great with DJ Moore, reunited with Robbie Anderson, and having Christian McCaffrey, literally the best running back in the league right now. Love me those Carolina Panthers. Also, the Denver Broncos at 14 have also been very, very surprising. Teddy touchdown, baby. Teddy two gloves. The only quarterback I've ever seen wear two gloves while throwing the football. But he's good. The team is producing. Their defense is great, and the offense is putting shit together. I can't really say anything else about it. Now, I have one here that this is crazy to me. The Pittsburgh Steelers are fucking 12 on a power ranking? 12? The Pittsburgh Steelers do not look like the 12th best team in football to me. Does that sound...
Put them at 25.
The Steelers play, but Ben looks like... I would.
Okay, but they're bad.
No.
They're bad.
They're not that bad.
I
25
guess, but if you're below
the
15,
Bengals.
then what? Why try?
Well, hey, the Panthers.
Okay, but
be nice to my Panthers. They're gonna be 10 soon.
The Steelers are playing you've seen them play. They play ass, and you got Ben Roethlisberger, who's terrible.
Ben Roethlisberger's the issue, and the defense. Yeah, the defense is great, though. That's their thing. Is their defense carries.
But Roethlisberger's just holding this team hostage.
He is, and it's crazy because you got Juju Smith-Schuster, you got Deontay Johnson, and you got Chase Claypool. Those are three really good receivers. Three not I'm gonna say top end, but those are all good production receivers. Najee Harris looks great. He looks powerful. Their O-line is depleted, but you can build that back up. It's Ben. Ben's just got to go. They got to get a new guy, and they got to go for it. But, we'll see what they do. Packers are ranked in the 11 slot. I mean, I think that's a lot of what to think the Packers will be, not what they have been. Obviously, beating up on the Lions is no big feat, but it's the Packers are going to win this division. They're going to go to the playoffs. They could very well be a 2 seed, but I think they're going to make a run that. First week against New Orleans, the first week is always kind of a fluke because all the teams none of those starters played in the preseason, so there's a lot of rust that has to come off. All right. As far as the top 10, I mean, it's all the people you expect to be there. Literally every NFC West team is here. So it's the Cardinals at 7, which, by the way, I don't know how they're 7 and the Seahawks are at 6. Well, the Seahawks blew that lead, but I would put the Cardinals above the Seahawks. It goes Cardinals, Seahawks, Buffalo Bills, 49ers at 4, Kansas City Chiefs at 3, even after their loss. It was a good game. They fumbled the victory away. You know who's at number 2 though, Brad? You know who's number 2 in the power ranking? Los Angeles Rams, baby. Matt Stafford. Matthew Big Cock Stafford coming into Los Angeles and winning games. 2-0 so far against the Bears aren't very good. Well, we'll see how the Colts are, but I will find it interesting how many teams Stafford beats this year that will finish with winning records. That'll be interesting to see. And then obviously number 1 is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think, this list is pretty fair. Like I said, I don't think the Steelers are nearly that good, but I think everything else on it is fine. It is only, we're coming up on week 3. We got Panthers and Texans tonight. Go DJ Moore, need him for fantasy. But yeah, man, I think I think that top 10 is what we're going to be seeing in the playoff picture with a nice little scoop of Carolina Panthers added in. Now, real quick before we take a break, Brad, these taunting penalties.
Yeah,
they're ruining the fucking game. We need to knock it the
I don't
fuck
watch
off.
a whole lot of NFL. Okay, I think that NFL broadcasts are ass. I think that they suck. I think that Tony Romo and
he's only on one game a week.
But I think that Tony Romo, I think that
Although
sideline reporters are terrible. I think that Joe Buck is a much better baseball announcer than he is a football announcer. I think the same thing can be said about Matt Shepard from the Tigers. Just a little bit of a side note. I think that Shepard's broadcasts on football are much better, but he's dog shit when it comes to baseball. But I think the sideline reporters mixed with some of like the rules with the NFL in the last few years or whatever, where the like some fucking penalty will happen or they'll replay something and they'll bring in a rules analyst. What the fuck is a rules analyst? Half the time they're not even correct. Like why are you on my TV screen if you're inconsistent?
Well, they're there. They're just there to explain.
They are wrong all
like
the time. This is an opinion piece. I could ask Tony Romo what he thinks.
No, shut up. You're incorrect. They are there to literally like break down. Here's what the rule means. Like here's the rule is written, so they know exactly. They're there to say here's what the ref is looking at or what the replay is looking at. And then they do their opinion piece.
Okay, but do you not explain? Do you not understand how annoying seeing that shit is? Like replays take up like 10 minutes of my time, and now I gotta listen to this asshole to explain the NFL to me.
Dean Blandino,
fucking hate it.
Most hated
it is the worst. But so I just don't like NFL broadcasts. I think that they are at the worst of NFL's entire history. But yeah. I will say this: I when I do tune in, it is awful. Just having the game make the broadcast worse. So when you have like these taunting penalties like all the time, like they'll be like, oh, like flag on the play, like taunting penalty. I don't even know what does it do? Like, doesn't it just add to the kickoff?
Well, it depends on what the taunt is for. If the defense is taunt, it's the offense just got a fresh set of downs. If it's a taunt after a big play, I saw one of the taunts that got called. You know how players will do that thing where they spin the football so it like spins on its top on the ground? They got a taunting penalty for that because they did it they were on the other team's like near the other team's sideline because that's where they were tackled. They were tackled on the other team's sideline and they just spun the fucking football. It's been done thousands of times in this game. And now it's called for a taunting penalty. It's insane.
It's
Get
so
rid of
stupid
it. No one
too,
wanted
because
this.
do these players not make millions of dollars? Who gives a shit if their feelings are hurt?
These are grown men. They're fine. I think it's more so because fans get pissed off seeing their team get taunted.
Okay,
But,
I don't care.
Most people are going to live with
Especially
it
in
and move
football.
on.
I feel like football's like the last place you're
'cause
going to give a shit.
Here's the thing. Yeah, well, and I know a fan, I would rather see my team get taunted by another team, be mad about it, and move on than that rule potentially hurting
Right.
my team
'Cause,
with a penalty.
when I'm watching baseball, it's
It's-
different because like Trevor Bauer will do some
It's
shit and
just-
I'll fucking piss off at him. But in football, it's usually just after a play or something, and it's he's celebrating, woohoo, you know? It looks a lot different.
Yeah.
It looks not worse. But it's just I don't understand it. And again, there's a difference, right? You're not trying to instigate, you're not trying to throw hands, you know. If you're instigating a fight, that's a little bit, different. The MLB does the same thing. They penalize people if you initiate something that clears the benches. If that happens, then you're gonna get fined. But this is different, a lot different.
Yeah. Nope, I agree with you. But, yeah, it's just a rule that needs to go. They implemented it after the Super Bowl, after Antoine Winfield Jr. taunted Tyreek with his infamous...
And,
with
again,
Tyreek's
college, I want to
sign.
say this. College is different,
that
too, because,
caused
again, these are... I mean, I don't know. You have more of a, you're not being paid millions upon millions of dollars. Even if college players were paid, it's not going to be that much money. And obviously that's, a whole other conversation. But still, I feel like if it's a professional setting, it's a lot different.
Yeah, and I just think, like I said, no one asked for this, so stop it. Stop affecting games. Stop having this be something that is affecting the outcomes of games.
One
just
thing
get rid of it now, but at the very worst, at the very
thing I
least,
wanted
get
to
rid of it
ask
in the
you: did you
offseason.
catch any of the Seahawks game? Oh my God,
I
was
did.
that not the funniest ending of the ever?
It
Let's
was-
not talk about that.
Seahawks never
Russell
should've lost
Wilson
that game.
choked at the end, but the fact that they almost lost the game. What they should have done. I mean, they lost the game, but they should have lost on intentional grounding. That would
they're
have
very
been
lucky.
a safety, and they would have lost the game.
No, Brad, what they should have done is not blown a massive lead to Tennessee
Hell,
and just
that
fucking
was,
won the
it was
game.
so
But
funny. I have never seen a
That's
more
why
wild
I think
game.
Seattle's the worst team in that division. I know that offense is potent, but I still think they're the worst team in that division. I mean, it's a great division,
Right.
so it's not an insult, but I would take the Cardinals over Seahawks. Anyway, Brad, let's take a break, and when we get back, we're going to rapid fire some picks for the upcoming week and recap our fantasy whims and woes. For me, it's the woes. But we'll talk about that when we're back, right after this. All right. Welcome back, everyone. All right, Brad. College pick 3. You've picked 3 games. I have 3 games. This isn't really, I would say, a betting segment. We are talking about this versus the spread because in college, I think, straight up pick 'em. Picking a game straight up is a little more down the middle in college. In professional football, you don't typically see really big spreads in games. Whereas, college, you have games where you have 20-point spreads, so it's trying to predict that. It's basically telling you, I'll give you a little sneak peek. One of mine is Michigan, is Rutgers at Michigan, and it's a 20.5-point spread for Michigan. So it's do I think Michigan is? I know they're going to win. Are they going to win that well though? So. Brad, why don't you kick us off? What you got first?
Yeah, again, I brought this segment to you. I really thought it would be something exciting to do as a preview. And I wanted to do this again with the context of having 2 ranked
upcoming.
teams at least in one game, because I think that right,
A
'cause
ranked
that's
matchup. Yep.
the people are here to see that, right? So the first one I got right here. Okay, Notre Dame, number 12 Notre Dame at 18 Wisconsin. What is it? Wisconsin's favored 6.5 points.
Yes.
So I don't know how you don't
at
pick
home.
Wisconsin. Like, Wisconsin, obviously the better team. Notre Dame has had some scares. I think that they should be ranked like lower, like 15 or 16 right now, because I do not think that they've proven that they should be in the top like 12 at all. But I think that Wisconsin absolutely wins that game.
Do they
cover? Oh yeah, absolutely.
You think they win by a touchdown?
Absolutely.
See, I don't. I actually think Notre Dame will win this game.
I guess
because it's Notre Dame. They never go away. It's not because I like Notre Dame. They just don't go away. They never go away. They will stick around to the end of the year. They'll fucking be right around the playoff hunt. They might get in and get the 4th seed, or they'll just miss it. Right? That every fucking year with Notre Dame. So, but no, I agree with you. I do think, in realistically talking about it, I do think Wisconsin is better, but I don't like that touchdown. I would take Notre Dame to cover the spread but lose the game. I would do Wisconsin money line, not Wisconsin spread.
I got LSU Mississippi State on here, and this is the game I really want LSU to lose. It's kind of out of the blue, and I've really taken a very bold approach with these last two. And again, like, I would not bet on these. I want everyone to know that I don't bet on sports for one specific reason. I'm bad at it. And I mean this because I'm bad at picking games to bet on. It's not that I'm bad at betting.
Yeah, it's
right,
it's a lot of value. So betting is a lot of value.
It's hard for me to pick a game where, like, because you have to know, like, which games to pick the upsets, and I usually try to pick all the upsets, and that's not a good approach when it comes to betting. I always try to pick and key, like, see if I can become rich off, like, one game.
Like that dude with the parlay?
No, I didn't, but I
he had a $25 promotional bet. He had a 16-game parlay in the NFL. He was perfect, 15 for 15 through Sunday.
You got to win that 16th game,
and he needed one. He needed one more game, and he would have turned a $25 bet into $736,000. You know what his last thing needed? He had Lions money line in Green Bay.
No, oh my god!
But here's the thing: it was a promotional bet, so he couldn't cash out early. Because sometimes you're allowed to cash out early. It would have only been like 100-something thousand, probably. Because it's risk reward.
Why did he do that? Why would you do that?
Well, here's what happened. BetMGM, who we placed the thing with, gave him $130,000.
Oh my god, that's so funny.
Because here's the thing: they can give him $130,000, and they just got all that free PR because there was a bunch of articles about it. So they're like, and now by them doing that, they look like the good guys, and people are gonna go and bet through them because they're like, well, what if it's me next time? That's all it takes. So. They gave that $130,000 was essentially we're paying for advertising. That's all it was paying for good PR.
The spread on this LSU game is 2.5. I think that
LSU's favored is
right.
Minus 2.5.
I think that LSU absolutely loses this game. I think that also they cover the spread. I mean it's 2.5, so that's like
well, if LSU's the favorite, Mississippi just has to win.
I think that this game is by a field goal, but I really think that I don't know. And again, the spread's so low, so like I don't know. It's a pretty even matchup, but I really think Mississippi State wins. And the third game I got is number 2.
And here's the thing: if you pick them, as long as they don't lose by a field goal, that's a good pick. We should. I'm marking your picks on this, so we'll come back next week and tell us.
So we got number 21, North Carolina, losing to Georgia Tech. This game is wild. It's a 12.5 point spread favoring North Carolina, and I want Georgia Tech to win this game. Didn't Georgia Tech, who'd they almost beat? God, but they were so bad at the end.
Brad, I need to ask you something. Are you betting this? Are you saying Georgia Tech's going to win straight up?
No,
or are you
I
saying
think that
Georgia Tech's going to
they have
cover
a
the
good
spread?
chance of covering the spread. What I want is Georgia Tech to win this game.
All right, I'll tell you what. We'll do like a point system, right? Like, so what is? Let me see what the money line on this is real quick. FanDuel Sportsbook is where.
Yeah,
I've been
that's the
one
stuff.
I go to. Yeah. This is Georgia Tech. Money line is plus 360. So I will give you 4 points instead of 1. Or sorry, I'll give you 3 points instead of 1 if you bet Georgia straight up.
That'd be great.
If you money line,
I am.
You do a money line. Giving you money. So anytime if you're calling a money line bet, we'll give you the odds, and that's how many. Basically, we'll round it to the nicest number, and we'll do that. So you're saying money line for that, and then obviously if you're right about Wisconsin or Mississippi State, it's just a point. But the thing with Wisconsin is you got to be right about the spread in those. So but yes, I don't hate it. Georgia Tech, I think, isn't as bad of a team. I mean, they hung around with Clemson, although I don't think Clemson's that good, but they hung around with Clemson.
They
and
did,
held them
and I wanted Georgia Tech
points
to win that game, just, underdog kind of thing. I mean, you kind of get the theme with these picks, too.
I'm picking that up, yes.
Yeah, I mean, not even that, like, Wisconsin's really, like, I mean, like, they're not even the underdog, but still, it's just, God, I really wanted Georgia Tech to win that game against Clemson, but, like, I really think that they do it against North Carolina. I don't think North Carolina is, like, that good, but, I mean, I don't know. They could surprise me, but whatever. So, yeah, I want to see what you got to say, especially about Rutgers and Michigan.
I think I'll tell you right now, I'm taking Rutgers to cover the spread. Michigan wins this game, but I don't think they win it by 20 points. Rutgers, Greg Schiano plays a physical game of football. That defense is going to show up to play. I think Michigan is going to have a harder time running the ball. I think this is where we could actually see if they rely on their pass game more. And if they do, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I could be wrong. Michigan could hang a bunch of points on them. But if their passing game turns out to be what it is, but we don't know. And I think Harbaugh is so stubborn in his coaching approach, he'll just keep trying to run the ball. I think Rutgers keeps it within 3 touchdowns. Yeah, that's all I got for that. Now moving on to Michigan, MSU. Michigan minus 4.5. By the way, I don't know if I said Rutgers State at Michigan. I was going to say Rutgers at Michigan was minus 20.5 for Michigan. So yeah, I think, like I said, I think Rutgers keeps it within 3 touchdowns. Nebraska at Michigan State. Michigan is a 4.5 point favorite. Give me State. I think they cover the spread. I think Nebraska is dog shit. The fact that Michigan State just kind of wiped the floor with Miami last week as convincingly as they did. We know Mel Tucker isn't going to hold back. I think they win this game by 14 points. So I'll take MSU and the point. I'll take MSU to cover the points. And finally, I got ranked matchup is Texas A&M for at Arkansas. Arkansas being given 5.5 points. Give me Arkansas. I think the Razorbacks play a physical game of football. They've had some very convincing victories so far this year, and I don't trust Texas A&M. It's funny because you were talking about that before.
Yeah, I mean they're like Notre Dame to me.
They had a really close game. They won 10-7 against Colorado. I don't know how they're ranked the 7th ranked team in the country. So, for those reasons, I think A&M wins this game, but I think Arkansas keeps it close and keeps it within 5 points. Now, Brad, why don't we talk about the NFL? So we got 3 games picked here that we're both going to make picks from. First thing we got is Saints at the Patriots.
So
Who do you got?
yeah, and I wanted to do these. I mean, I have the spreads like here, but like I wanted to specifically do these just straight up pick them.
Yeah, I
think
agree.
obviously, it's a lot lower spreads. Like it's harder to, So I got New England. What is it? Jameis Winston's on this team now. Saints. I mean, like. It's so weird to see like some of these quarterbacks like do this like carousel, but I don't know. Like I'm starting to get on this stupid Mac Jones bandwagon here. I think that the Patriots probably win this game by a touchdown, to be honest. But I really think that the Patriots pull this out.
I think I agree with you. But I'm hoping it's a shootout. Hoping it's like a 30-27 kind of game. Just mainly because I have Alvin Kamara in fantasy and I fucking need him to start producing. Got me 7 points last week. But no, I think the Patriots win. It's hard to win in Foxborough. Give me the Patriots to win this one straight up. I think Jameis is just. He's still Jameis Winston, turnover machine. I think, like you said, I think Mac Jones can run the offense well enough, and Belichick is, fucking Belichick. So that's all I need to hear. All right, Bengals at Steelers. Who do you got?
You know what's funny, too? I was going to go back to that Patriots game. I know you put, like, when we did our NFL preview episode, I know you put the Patriots as, like, a low on tier. But wasn't that also when they still had Cam Newton on the team? Because I wanted to mention
this. So.
I
think I still had.
I wanted to mention this, and I feel the same way about the
third.
Bears. This is just straight up, just something I wanted to mention. I really appreciate that Bill Belichick was like, "Fuck this. Cam Newton is not good enough for our offense. Like he's not a good enough situation." And he noticed that, and just was like, let's just get it started with Mac Jones. Just do it, right? I think that you should see the same thing in Chicago. Like, Matt Nagy should do the same thing. Just notice that this Andy Dalton, old and sucks. Like, he needs to, get out of here.
Well, you saw Justin Fields was named
Was
starter
he? I didn't see that. God, thank you.
Well, that's because Andy Dalton was... Dalton is hurt, and he said it when Dalton... is better, Dalton will be the starter again. But that's what he's saying now. Well, if Fields goes out there and starts killing it,
I mean, I think that Fields gives you a better chance. I think you're going to see the same thing with Mac Jones. Like, Mac Jones gives the Patriots a better chance. I think that they're going to have a better record. They're going to be in that playoff mix because of Mac Jones. That's just my hot take. I mean, it's true, fair. Is it not? Like, they have a better chance to win with Mac Jones on the field than they did with Cam Newton.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right now, yeah. I mean, it's with a rookie, like, you never know. It's very possible it could have been worse, but, but right now, so far, it's working out, although he only is averaging, 3 yards to the air.
Like, there was that one thing I sent you where, he has the highest accuracy. It's like, fuck yeah, he should. He's got 3 air yards per carry. Per pass attempt. And so, yeah, he better fucking be accurate if he's going to throw, fucking darts. Next one I got was Bengals Steelers.
So,
Bengals all the way. And that's going to be so surprising. But Bengals all the way. Steelers, fuck the Steelers.
Yeah, give me the Bengals. I know the Bengals still have a lot of issues on their team, but, the Steelers got a really good defense. That's my only concern, is they have a really good defense. They're going to pressure Burrow. The Bengals offensive line is still not good. So depending on that could be the deciding factor, but I think the Steelers defense being as awful as it is, unless they surprise us, give me the Bengals. Give me the Bengals. All right. The match of the week, I think this is easily the game of the 100%. Week this week. Tampa at LA. Playing at SoFi Stadium. Bay. Who do you got?
I got Tampa Bay
and
right
what?
here.
Tampa Bay, Tom.
So
it's hard to argue against.
I wanted to choose LA. That was just literally me. I think that Stafford, at least, I think that if he doesn't get LA to the NFC title game, I think that's a failure. Just because, I mean, you got the tools now.
No, I agree.
I think that this is the time. If you don't get them to the NFC title game, I think that's bad. I think that he does. Like, I think that happens. I also don't think it's hard to argue against Tampa Bay winning the Super Bowl this year when you see what they have, especially since like Tom Brady has went into this with now like they're a well-oiled machine. Like they are as good as Tom Brady's been with New England.
When you retain every starter, they retained every starter. Tampa Bay has a great defense. That defense is elite. The offense is productive as hell.
This might be the game.
Several running back. They use several really good running backs between Leonard Fournette, Ronald Jones, and even Giovanni Bernard. They have three really good wide receivers.
This might be.
Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are both Pro Bowlers. Antonio Brown was an elite wide receiver back in the day and still has some of that elite route running, although he is on the COVID list and probably isn't playing this week. But that you still have Chris Godwin and Mike Evans on your team. And you have Rob Gronkowski, who is back in like a somewhat prime form. Dude is like a production
He's
machine.
Been amazing
like
for my fantasy
He's still
league.
Gronk. Like, he's been crazy. He was a guy that people were getting in the late rounds because last year he didn't do much. But last year he wasn't in game shape. This year he's back to Gronk form. It's crazy. Now, I know I just said all those really nice things about Tampa, but give me the Rams, baby. Matt Stafford is the fucking GOAT. He is elite, top 5 QB this year. Or he's going to be a top 5 QB by the end of the year. No, okay. Aside from being a Stafford slappy, I think the Rams are really good. Cooper Kupp is going to be one of the best receivers this year, top 5 easily in stats. I think that in tandem with Robert Woods, Darrell Henderson has proven to be a very nice running back piece. The offensive line gives Stafford a lot of time to throw. McVay is obviously a genius play caller. And, the Rams defense is one of the best in the league with Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey. I think having Jalen Ramsey covering up, whether it's Mike Evans or Chris Godwin, and having Aaron Donald put pressure on Tom Brady, that's the one way to make Tom Brady fail, is to make him uncomfortable. And I think if any team can do that, despite how fucking good that Tampa Bay offensive line is, Aaron Donald doesn't care how good you are. So despite how good that Tampa Bay team is, I think the Rams defense can make Tom Brady uncomfortable enough, and I think the offense can penetrate that very, very good defense. I think they win a very close game in the end, but I think the Rams eke out the victory.
Yeah. I like that. This be this LA Rams Tampa Bay game might be a preview of the NFC title game.
It definitely could. I think this, I mean, these are the number 1 and 2 ranked teams on a lot of like the power rankings, and right now with how these teams are looking, like they look good early, and I think it's only going to get better. Like these are teams that are each going to win 12 to 13 games, if not more. So, all right, Brad, let's talk about fantasy.
I won.
We are the definition of the beauty and the beast, or the good, and I am the bad and the ugly.
I took your advice, though. I took your advice through my draft.
No, here's the thing. I technically drafted 3 teams this year.
I could probably get exhausting.
I drafted a team for my dad. Well, I don't manage 2 of them. I drafted them. So one of the ones I drafted for my dad, but he runs it. I just just ask him, like I checked his team scores because I'm curious, like how well did the team I drafted do, but he runs that team. And then my fiance's team, which I helped her draft, but like she doesn't know a lot about football, so I would just kind of gave her the info and she made the picks, but I obviously was giving her suggestions. So I would say I drafted like half the team, right? And I just help her with the week-to-week moves. But it is her. But her team won thanks to Aaron Jones getting 41 points on Monday night. She won by like 30, so he did great. And then my dad's team is 2-0 currently. So those two teams are great. My fantasy team, on the other hand, I'm 0-2.
Yeah.
Week 1, I got very unlucky and ran into Tyreek Hill, who had, in my league, we have bonus points for 40-plus yard touchdown receptions and also bonuses for getting over like 200 and 100 receiving yards. He did those things. So, I ran into that, and I also had Cortland Sutton in, and he underperformed. And then this week, my running backs just shat the bed, man. Alvin Kamara, 3rd pick overall, got me 7 points. Clyde Edwards-Helaire got me 4.8. And DeAndre Swift, who was in my flex, got me 12. So he did great, or pretty good, for a running back, right? So, but here's the thing. My receivers, amazing. DJ Moore, 21 points. Mike Williams, 23 points. I had Cortland Sutton on my bench. He got 24 points. Henry Ruggs on my bench, 29 points. I had and Marvin Jones, 15 points, all on my bench. I had 75 points between those 3 guys on my bench. So what I'm doing moving forward is Clyde Edwards-Helaire. It's such a productive offense, but I can't trust him right now because he's not getting the red zone snaps. He does not get involved in the passing game enough, and he has not had any big explosive runs. He has none of the ingredients of a prime fantasy football running back. And obviously the fumble, I lost 2 points on that this week too. So my strategy going forward, I keep Kamara in. This week's a fluke. Everyone has bad weeks. I'm not too worried about him. He got me 18 last week, right? He's fine. I'm putting Swift in as my running back too. And then I'm going to start Mike Williams and DJ Moore, and then Cortland Sutton will be my slot. But the real killer this last week, though, because I only lost by like 5 points. Again, I lost by 5 points last week and 5 points this week. My defense, I had the Arizona Cardinals defense. I thought they were going to eat the Vikings lunch for dinner. My defense got -2 points. The person I went against had the Tampa Bay defense.
I don't understand how does your team have
a
-2 points?
So your defense starts with 10 points, and they start with 10 points because it is 0 points given up, 0 yards allowed. Once you get over like 100 yards allowed, it goes from like 5 points to 4 points. And then once you give up a certain amount of points, it's like 7 points allowed, you go from 5 to 4. So if your team gives up like 34 points, or 33 points, which the Cardinals did, and a bunch of yards, you go into the negatives.
Gotcha.
Which most leagues have that scoring system. It is, I'm sure someone on your league has had a negative defense or will have one. Funnily enough, though, I am playing the Cardinals defense again this week because I think they're going against, I believe it's the Jaguars, which I do not trust that. I'm sure they will have a much better week against the Jaguars. If I can get the fantasy app to load. Yes, indeed, they're going against Jacksonville. So I think I bounced back this week. It's longer season. It sucks to be 0-2 to start, but I'm going against my mom, and I told Mom, like, I need to beat you. You're 1-1. I need a win if I want a chance this season. So I think I bounced back. I think I'll get the win this week. I like my lineup. I think I know who my guys are. So I just got to hope I get that consistency now throughout the year. Now, Brad, let's talk about your team. Mr. fucking Big Dick Brad.
So my league,
2-0. Look at this guy. He started Kenyon Drake last week and went 2-0. This is fucking crazy.
So
you are in a deeper league. Are you guys dress
12
a lot
teams,
of players.
and you got a lot of players.
I was gonna say you dress, I think, 2 extra flexes, which, by the way, if my league did that, I would have destroyed both weeks because my bench had a lot of points.
2 flexes, just 2. But we got 3 receivers, 2 running backs, a tight end, and defense.
That's right. You have 2 extra flexes and 1 two flexes
Right.
and the extra receiver. That's right.
So in my league, there are two teams are 2-0, two teams are 0-2. I'm one of the 2-0 teams. Everyone else is 1-1. Now, granted, my schedule is a little easier. My boy Logan that I just played last week, garbage team. He even said he's like, my team sucks, and I'm like, yeah, I know. It's so bad. But anyway, I won. Now, I had a little bit of an issue. What the fuck happened? One of my receivers got injured, and then Amari Cooper is now questionable with a rib injury, which kind of I think Cooper will play. He will.
Cooper will probably play.
So what I had to do is I had to drop what the fuck's his face? I forget the guy's name. What is it? Landry. Jarvis or whatever.
Jarvis.
Jarvis Landry. Is that his name? I don't know. Anyway, I dropped him. I got Zach Pascal. I'm not playing Zach Pascal, but he's still kind of a good pickup. I don't know.
No, he's not bad. He's a nice guy to keep on the bench and see. I think my only concern with him is now Carson Wentz is out.
Well, Pascal's averaging 17.6, but again, that's with Wentz. So like, yeah, I don't know. Something like I was trying to beef up my thing. I went from, and I know projections mean nothing. I really know that. But
trust me, I know. If projections were right, I'd win every week.
But I did move my projected total just by making a move at wide receiver. I projected my total from 130 to 147.4.
Right. And you played Mark Andrews and
I
Broncos,
do every week.
Right?
I have two great tight ends.
Which it's not a bad, like, here's the thing, like, Andrews is a starting caliber tight end in fantasy.
But Gronk
right?
is the second best tight end in the league right now.
He's turned behind Kelsey. Like, he has turned into the Gronk of past, and you have both of them. It's one of those things, like, if I had Travis Kelsey and, like, Darren Waller,
plus I had really no choice but to play Mark Andrews this week too, because I've kind of been on and off because he kind of had one bad week, one good week, whatever. But I gotta play him this week.
Tight ends are always going to have, like, literally only, like, I can only think, like, I think only, I would say, like, 3 tight ends this year maybe will have, like, will always be good. And that's Kelsey, Waller, and probably Hawkinson. Like, Gronk, I think, will eventually I think he'll have 1 week where he won't be, like, he's always going to get points because Brady loves him. I just don't know if he's going to get a touchdown every time. But everyone else is going to have Heisman.
Like, they're playing Detroit this week. Ravens are. So, like, I got no reason but to play him. He's going to score 80 points.
Touchdowns.
I mean, not really, but, like, there's no reason why Baltimore shouldn't put up, like, 40.
Robert Tonyan had like 17 fantasy points because Detroit. We have no linebackers. I mean, although Derek Barnes will be out there, so this will probably be the week they like shut down the tight end.
And then this is the first week I didn't trade a defense or get rid of a defense because Bengals are playing Pittsburgh.
Who do you got?
I'm just keeping the Bengals.
Oh, yeah, that's fair. That's a bad offense. Yep, get those turnover points. Yeah, so I think you're in a good spot, and like I said,
this is my toughest opponent.
But
I will say that this is my toughest opponent that I played so far. Okay. So I'm not as confident, but I'm excited.
Well, being 2-0 early is helpful because now if you lose a game, you're still in a good spot. For me, like, I have to win this week, but I'm still
what I like is how good Jonathan Taylor's been,
despite being. He's been good.
I'm like reading this ESPN Plus article on like trade, assets or whatever. Jonathan Taylor is one of the highest like trade assets that you can get. I'm not gonna obviously trade for.
People are desperate for running backs right now. Because
I bet they are.
Desperate for
I bet they are. I mean, I'm not desperate for them.
Especially like with Clyde Edwards-Helaire underperforming. Right. Dalvin Cook is having injury issues. Saquon
and
Barkley
if you got DeAndre Swift, that was a pretty
bad
good
years. I got him in
That's crazy. That's great.
Or 4. Well, because I was playing in a league of Lions players, and they wanted to avoid the Lion, and I was like, "Yeah, I'll take him." He's gotten me
But like
45
DeAndre Swift
points
is not
in 2
bad,
weeks,
especially
so
when you consider that like Goff is such a worse
offensive
quarterback than
line.
Stafford.
The biggest downside to Swift is one, he does have this nagging groin injury, although he's looked fine the last 2 games, and Jamal Williams is there to steal.
Right. I think if I'm the Lions, I give Swift the ball every time. I mean, not really, but.
Well, you got to remember, Jamal Williams is only like 27. He's
true.
still young, too. So it's like, but they utilize them well, actually. And like, I think Swift gets like 65 to 70% of the snaps, which that's a really good number. But like, the funny thing is they both produce so much that like, you could almost put in a deeper league, like a 14-man league, you could put Jamal Williams in the flex and put Swift as your running back. That's how like productive each one is with their running game. So, yeah, but man, I think you're in a good spot, and like I said, I'm cautiously optimistic despite being 0-2 because I think my team is good. I think now that I know who I want. I got my starting roster. I just gotta rack up some.
I wanted to mention one more thing, and I think this is so funny.
Yeah.
So I love that Ben Roethlisberger came into this year, right? And he's like, dude, I'm gonna be awesome. Like he's like, this dude, this season's ours. Like it's ours to win. This dude thought he was motherfucking Tom Brady, and he comes in here and is like some fucking 60-year-old man on crutches who can barely stand up. Like that is what Ben Roethlisberger has done. That's the equivalent, and I just think that is so funny to me because I am so anti-Steelers.
Yeah, he.
No, and it's like
he just.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even because it's like Tom Brady had a good team behind him. Like this dude's just like, oh my god, he's like the you'd be better off putting my grandfather in that team. But that's I mean, I can't be wrong. It's so. I just think, oh my god, every time. I just think Ben, because you saw the interviews, right? Where like Sports Center's all this hype about Roethlisberger.
He's a cock.
Like dude's out here like thinking he's like fucking Tom Brady, and the dude ends up like in a wheelchair. So.
Yeah, it's dumb. This is his last year.
Like at least Drew Brees had the sense to like go, it. Anyway.
Yep. Retire on his own terms. So, all right, Brad. That's all I got. You got anything else for the people? Let's hope. Like I said, fingers crossed. Our picks. Hopefully we're super smart, genius people with football, and let's hope our fantasy teams do well. And I good luck to all of your fantasy teams out there in listener land. Check your waiver wires and make sure you're checking that injury report. Make sure you don't got injured players in because that's the worst feeling in the world. So, everyone, have a good week. Hopefully your bets hit and hopefully your fantasy players just rack up points. We'll see you all next week.